Hello, it's Gary here from Rise of the Gay Cinephiles. Throughout our video nasty season, a trigger warning will be in place for sexual assault, animal cruelty, graphic violence, racism and other forms of bigotry as we discuss these films from a very different time. It may not apply to all of them, but it's best to keep the trigger warning here just in case. Enjoy the episode. Hello, welcome to Rise of the Gay Cinephiles, the show where we, two gay cinephiles who watch way too many films, discuss various themes and eras of cinema. And for this season, we're discussing all 72 films from the Video Nasty DPP list in alphabetical order. Last week, we were off to a great start. It was a breeze.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good, those films.
Yeah.
It kind of evened out, averaged out at very good.
This week, we're really getting into it because we have our first trash.
First of many, but yes, we're really getting into the nitty gritty of video nasties this week.
Yeah, let's make the most of something good in the meantime. What's new with Chris and Gary? Honestly, kind of just our new release spotlight, but we have also watched Pain and Glory recently, which was incredible.
Almodovar does it again.
He
Fantastic.
He does. He somehow manages to make heroin addiction melodramatic, amusing, but also really touching and moving at the same time.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Wonderful character study. He creates wonderful, amazing characters.
He does.
Really just beautiful. And it's nice to see, and you know, he's a gay character, so we're going to have an affinity for him anyway. But it's nice that he can write men just as well as he writes women.
Yeah. We also watched...
He did write that film, didn't he?
He did, yes.
I'm not talking shit, am I?
He did.
Yeah.
It's very much... I think it's autobiographical.
Yes.
We did also watch Phantom of Death, which I'm surprised isn't on this Video Nasty list.
88. Yeah.
Unless it's on section 3, it could potentially be on there. But yeah, that's a nice little trashy giallo. But yeah, we also continue to be the only people on the planet who enjoy them just like that.
Yes. Yeah, so many people are really hating it. And I don't think it's perfect. I don't. There's certain aspects that are confusing me. But... I love it. I just love these characters and they've evolved. They've changed. Yeah. They're different people to who they were 30 years ago. What 27 years ago, actually, that the show debuted. And even throughout that, they evolved. Of course, 27 years, people change.
Yeah. But for our new release spotlight, we don't have a new release because we haven't watched a new release that deserves a spotlight.
Because we hated awful. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yeah, we disliked it.
So instead, we're substituting it with a new restoration release of The Piano Teacher.
Yeah, so our local independent cinema, Shout Out Home, they're showing The Piano Teacher as part of the Michael Haneke season. Yeah, really. So the Piano Teacher's getting a few screenings, and his other films are getting one-offs. But we watched it, and it's very, very easily within my top 20 films of all time.
Yeah, it's I'd say I was definitely floored by this film.
Yeah,
like as soon as it finished, I was just like, wow. One of those films that actually made me feel something. I truly think it's flawless. It's complex. It's disturbing. It's a gut puncher. It's just absolutely everything a film should be. And just so layered and gives you so much to think about with a phenomenal lead performance by Isabelle Huppert, which I truly believe is one of the 5 greatest performances ever put to screen.
She's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about this film. And I know it sounds wanky to say it, but I can't. I can't stop thinking about it since we watched it. I found it so interesting. I found, obviously, the central performance Very, very good. The themes, so interesting. It was... I knew it was going to be saucy. I knew. I mean, I knew they were going to get it on because it's on the poster. All the advertising shows them getting it on that bathroom floor. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I assumed it was going to be about a repressed woman being shown the way of, you know, sexuality by this handsome man. Yeah, it was nothing of the sort, ultimately. Very, very shocking. Disturbing, very sad.
Yeah.
Also, I felt so many emotions within the 2 hours 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't feel that runtime at all.
No.
You know, if you've listened to the podcast before, I hate a film that's unnecessarily long, but it flies by because you're just so invested. I thought it was really, really wonderful, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
I'm going to be unbearable. I'm going to say, have you seen The Piano Teacher?
Yes.
To everyone now.
But yes, from masterpieces to stuff that should remain in the past. Pasta pieces.
Pasta pieces. Oh, you're making me hungry.
Let's get back to the video nasties.
Yeah, we've got a few this week. We've 6 films. Yeah,
we're gonna skip past Shelf Love because not a lot has been released, and we have 6 fucking video nasties to talk about.
Yes.
So let's delve into the first of our Nazisploitation ones, The Beast in Heat from 1977.
Don't worry, my child. You're now in God's house, and nothing will happen to you here. You're quite safe.
No one is safe, I tell you, Padre. And the awful thing is that...
And I assure you that very soon you will have these swine under lock and key. You'll see.
You and me, we'll conquer a nation. Ah, you're hurting me.
So, fun fact, on our Boogeyman episode from 2021, when we discussed it in Full On Horror Cult Trash Ever, Chris famously quoted, in this household quoted, I don't think we should do all the video nasties. Like, I can't imagine sitting here talking about The Beast in Heat. Here we are, 4 years later.
In my defense, and you'll find out later my opinions on the Boogeyman 1 and 2. But in my defense, I wasn't feeling my best about video nasties in general. So, and also back then, we used to discuss the film in full.
Yeah, scene for scene.
Scene for scene, moment for moment. I could not imagine doing that with The Beast in Heat, and you're about to find out why.
It'd be fucking exhausting. There's a lot to be said about this film, but not that much to be said about this film. What else was it called?
So it's The Beast in Heat, aka Nazi Holocaust, Secret Weapons of the Third Reich, Horrifying Experiments of the SS Last Days, SS Hell Camp, SS Experiment Camp 2, The Nazi Beast in Heat, and The Devil from the Gestapo.
Did you say The Beast Adrift?
No, was that one?
Nazi Monsters.
Oh.
You said The Devil from Gestapo.
I did, yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's... Oh, The Beast is in a Fever is one of the translations as well from one of the titles.
Okay.
The Beast is in a Fever. I've been using Google Translate this week.
Yeah, so have I, actually.
Wild, some of these titles. I mean, favorite title, I don't know. I mean,
I think The Beast in Heat for me is the less exploitative title.
Yeah, The Beast is in a Fever is my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one. The Beast is in a Fever.
Feel the fever.
Obviously the poster is awful. In terms of exploitation.
Yeah, the poster has an actual beast on there, like a werewolf type beast. We're going to tell you that that's not what's in the film.
Yeah, but it also has a swastika, and it has a scantily clad woman running. So it's not the kind of film that I'm going to put on display.
No.
I'm not going to go up to someone and say, can I buy this, please, at HMV?
No.
Not necessarily. You buy other things to sort of hide. You buy the Care Bears movie to even it out, sort of thing.
It's written and directed by Luigi Batzella and stars Maka Magol, Gino Torini, Aurelio Kim, and Zairo Papas. And it's about a beautiful, nefarious senior female SS officer, words that should never go together, / doctor who creates a genetic mutant human hybrid. The beast is a squat, hypersexually driven fiend which she uses to torture and molest female prisoners whilst getting fellow Nazis to watch. Yes, you heard all of that correctly.
Yes.
And it was prosecuted. And it's part of a subgenre of exploitation films created in the early 1970s called Nazisploitation. These films were primarily produced in the United States and Italy. Among the films, particularly the ones produced in Italy, such as Captive Women 4, Gestapo's Last Orgy, La Bestia in Calor, which is this, and they often include pornographic scenes, but were described by author Michael D. Richardson as perhaps better classified as horror films given the excessive and graphic violence that dominated the screen. But Chris is going to tell us what one of these films is really about. What is The Beast in Speed? What is The Beast in Heat really about?
The Beast on Speed.
The Beast on Speed, yeah.
During the last days of World War II, an inexplicably cunty-looking SS officer and doctor creates a beast that will barely get any screen time. In this Italian horror film, good taste is still rationed, but gratuitous nudity, bad dubbing, and eyeliner are still readily available. So yeah, Italian. This,
of course, those pesky Italians.
This is the first Nazisploitation film we're going to discuss. There's a few.
First of many, sadly.
First of many, very sadly. So we won't go too much into that aspect because bits of that will come up over the next few weeks. But this is the lowest rated on Letterboxd.
I mean,
of the video nasty.
That's ridiculous because SS Experiment Camp is way worse than this. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. It's not my least favorite.
I don't
know how you can rank these things.
It's so weird because this is absolute fucking trash. It is disgusting, despicable, exploitative trash. But it's not without its so bad it's good moments. Like, I mean, there's some really fucking funny stuff in here.
There are, and it's
unintentionally.
Yeah, it's so bad that it is it's almost campy at times.
Well, I think it is camp.
Then you realise just what they're actually doing.
Yeah,
which is it's gratuitous.
It is.
It's exploitation. It's based on real life, but
it's also stealing stuff as well. I mean, all of the scenes, the battle scenes, were taken from a previous war film by the same director called Quando Suona la Campana. So that's lazy. Also, there are so bad it's good stuff in here, but a massive chunk of this film's runtime is so fucking boring.
Very dull.
Like, so boring. And I can't help but ask who this is made for, because considering these Nazisploitation films were essentially made for straight men with weird Nazi fantasies to get off, there's a lot of Willy in this, and like solo Willy, not Willy during sex Willy.
I do wonder what they're trying to do with this, and Nazisploitation in general, because I do think it's for cheap thrills.
It is. I mean, we watched... Who was that director we did a podcast episode on where...
Ray Dennis Steckler,
where like so many of his porn films were just
Nazi porn. Like, who is... It's bad taste. It's really bad taste. And it's not the kind... Like, John Waters is my favourite film director. That's bad taste.
Yeah.
But it's from a different angle.
Yeah.
This seems like it's pretty much for people to get off on.
It is. I mean, the beast in question is actually just a conventionally unattractive man with his willy out who likes to snatch pubes and eat them and rape women to death.
Yeah. I just...
I can't imagine getting that offer. Like, oh, by the way, you're really fucking ugly. Do you want to play a beast?
He played a lot of those roles. He was very much typecast. He was. Do you know what? Let's say his name because he deserves it for putting up with this shit.
They came up to him and he was like, "Beast, how dare you?"
Beast. Salvatore Baccaro. So he was discovered selling flowers, and someone must have come up to him and said, "Well, you look like a beast. Like." You're quite unattractive, aren't you? Do you fancy being in a number of shitty Italian films where you're going to do horrendous things on camera? Like, oh yeah, great.
Oh,
yeah,
poor
I'll do
Salvatore.
That. Yeah.
Not the poor character though. I mean, this film starts with an extensive rape scene that ends with necrophilia and lesbians kissing. I'm pretty certain that tells you everything you need to know about this film. We spoke last week about whether certain video nasties were edgelords of the 70s, 60s, and 80s. This is definitely the 70s equivalent of an edgelord. It's like, oh, do you know what really shocked people? Sexual assault, followed by necrophilia, and then fucking lesbians. Are you serious?
Yeah, and I find the lesbianism incredibly distasteful.
It is.
Given the Nazis' treatment of homosexuals.
Of course.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really... Well, it's all distasteful.
Of course it is,
It is. And it's at the end of the day, I mean... it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a scene where a woman gets raped and then shot in the vagina after. I mean...
And it's like the
again, it tells you everything you need to know about it. It's just exploitation, absolute trash. But it has some cracking dialogue, though. Some of my favourites are, what do you prefer, an asexual angel or an excited devil? And the guy responds, well, let's just say an angelic devil.
I also enjoyed when the hot priest, and there's a hot priest in this. I was thinking to myself, when I saw the hot priest, I was like, should we do like the male pinups of the video nasties?
Oh my god.
Because there's another really hot guy.
Give it to
these
the beast,
films.
our sympathy.
No, this is the hot priest in this one. He says, the Lord won't betray you. He's the best.
He's the best. Don't we love that? Yeah, because this is also a pro-Catholicism film as well, apparently.
Yeah, the English dub, it isn't even trying to make any of the Nazis sound German. Apart from the odd, really heavy accent, which is straight from Allo.
Someone does a Mae West voice. One of the women and all the Nazi women, all of their face cards are checking out here. One of them says, "Oh, that's just a little sample. The fun's just beginning." Oh. And what I find quite insulting as well is that there are moments where they try to show the atrocities of World War II and of the Nazis. But they're just using it as a plot.
For example, like elderly women and children are being murdered in the street, which makes the cheap titillation feel even cheaper. Like, if you're just going to do it, just do it. Just do it. Don't try and make yourself out to be something that you're not. Just do it. Give me the bad taste. I'll watch it for this podcast, and then I will never have to watch you again.
It's sad that we've watched this twice now.
That is sad.
But shout out to the guinea pigs. I think they were really good in their roles as the rats. I don't know why they couldn't just get rats. I don't know in what world guinea pigs were easier to find than rats. But
absolutely ridiculous.
They were dubbed.
So cute.
They were dubbed
as
rats.
They were dubbed.
Fucking wild. Best actors in the film, in my opinion. Do you think we've said all that can be said about
absolutely
Beast in Heat?
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, then in that case, the IMDb rating's 3.7 out of 10. Deserved. Letterboxd rating is 2.2 out of 5. Too high. My rating is 1.5 out of 5 because guinea pigs for one, and the dubbing and hilarity from certain scenes for others. Not with a love heart. Did this deserve to be on the list, and why do we think it's on the list? It's a big fat yes. And what's your rating?
I was going to say, excuse me, do you want to hear my rating?
Yes,
my rating is 1 out of 5. No love heart.
Of course it deserves to be on the list.
Absolutely.
All Nazisploitation films are trash, and Nazisploitation films are trash and should be on this list. They're the only ones where across the board I'll say, do you know what? Tories, No, I can't bring myself to say it. No, they're not right. But either way, if there was a
The
list...
thing is, we don't believe in censorship,
No.
but
these
we
films
do
shouldn't
believe you
exist.
can turn around and say this is shit.
Yeah, they
no
shouldn't
one
exist.
should watch it.
I mean, a baby is thrown into the air and shot. Vagina electric shock torture scene in there with clamps, close up. You know, of course this is going to be on there.
We get acrylic nails being pulled off a woman's hand while she
Yes.
said, "You're hurting me." That
And she's got nail polish underneath them as well to make it look like it's blood.
yeah. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Thankfully, that's all that needs to be said about the Beast in Heat. How dare you? But next up, from one of the worst to one of the best, it's Lucio Fulci's groundbreaking, world-changing, genre-changing masterpiece, The Beyond from 1984.
7 Doors of Death. The author of Texas Chainsaw Massacre calls it one of the best horror films I've ever seen.
Who else is here? Nobody here?
2 beautiful girls trapped in a nightmare of supernatural horror. A fiendish poltergeist waiting to unleash its sinister revenge. See 7 Doors of Death, rated R.
Yeah, you're going to get this a few times during this season, during the Video Nasties. You're going to get films that are fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That are the height of horror cinema and did not deserve to be banned because horror fans everywhere deserve to watch them. I think this is the first one we're talking about.
Absolutely.
It's The Beyond. AKA... Now, please excuse my pronunciations. I'm going to give it a go. I didn't give it a go with The Beast in Heat because it didn't deserve it, but this, I will give it a go. Et tu vivrais now terra l'aldelia? And that says, and you will live in terror, the afterlife. Voodoo, the perfect hotel. The ghost town of zombies.
Yeah.
The 7 gates of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And the 7 doors of death.
So I also have Beyond the Zombies.
Beyond the Zombies.
Terror in the Dark. Hotel of the Damned. And this one, I found on a poster, but it wasn't on IMDb. So I don't know if it's a real title, but it's a great one. And it would be my favourite one if it's real. Don't Torture a Zombie. That is great. That is great. And it tells you everything you need to know about this film. But if we're going by officials, I don't know.
Don't
then
Torture a Zombie,
I'm going to go with 7 Doors of Death because that's great.
Yeah, I like that. It makes it sound like a giallo.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a great title for a giallo. I thought The Beyond. I thought
Beyond
The Beyond is
title.
a great
Yeah.
title. Really simple. It's intriguing. And, yeah, it kind of works. There is a Beyond
Yeah. And
in the film.
It's written and directed by horror master Lucio Fulci, co-written by Sardano Sacchetti, Giorgio Maruzzo, and Dardano Sacchetti, starring Catriona McCall, David Warbeck, Zia Monreal, and Antoine St. John. And it's about a young woman who inherits an old hotel in Louisiana where, following a series of supernatural accidents, she learns that the building was built over one of the entrances to her and it wasn't prosecuted. And Chris is going to tell us what it's really about.
A young blonde woman's pretty privilege is tested when she's made to pay more inheritance tax than she'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catriona McCall, absolute stunner.
She is.
Great beauty. Love her. She's an English actress, so it's that wonderful thing where she's in these random Italian horror films, but then also in something like really British.
Do you know who she was going to be played by, this character?
Who?
Tisa Farrow from last week.
Oh, of course. Yes.
But by the time it was made, she had quit acting.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, a bit of history to this film. Chris told me about this when we very first met, and I watched it and checked in on Facebook so we could see and tried to impress him. I love it. I love it. It's part of the Gates of Hell trilogy. Mm-hmm. Or the Death Trilogy as it's also known, which starts with City of the Living Dead and ends with House by the Cemetery, which we'll be discussing later in this season. Strange that we won't be discussing City of the Living Dead, because that has perhaps one of the most disgusting things ever put to film with its vomiting scene.
Yeah.
that would have got a yes, it deserved to be on this list from me. But this film's pretty extreme in itself. The BBFC did pass it with an X rating, demanding several cuts, and subsequently it became a video nasty. And it wouldn't be released uncut until 2001 in the UK. And it's inspirational because Europe based their song Seven Doors Hotel from their first album on this film.
Oh, nice.
And the lyrics basically just retell the plot of the film. It's, one of the greatest horror films ever made, in my opinion. Lucio Fulci's best film. It just does so much that other horror films hadn't done by this point, and does it in such a Fulci way that is so unique and creepy, but also a little campy at times too. It's such a very specific tone in this film that not a lot of other films are able to recreate.
Yes. It does that thing that I love, and Lucio Fulci does it a hell of a lot. He knows exactly what he's going to give you, and he gives it to you.
Yeah.
He's going to give you a zombie film with lots of over-the-top kills and an amazing soundtrack. What a killer, like really amazing soundtrack. Please, someone release it on vinyl. If you have, then I need to buy it. But he says, I'm not going to give you a hell of a lot of logic. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I'm not really going to give you layers. I'm going to give you a zombie film, and I'm going to give you the Lucio Fulci treatment, and you're going to get big kills, you're going to get gruesomeness, and you're going to get horror, pure horror. Yeah. And I love it. I'm going to give you really fake-looking tarantulas as well. I'm going to give you...
They're not real?
I'm going to give you jars that seem to hold way more liquid than it appears, like Mary Poppins' bag. But I'm going to include it in some really rad kills and some really great gore. I love it. I've seen it so many times. It's a great film to just shove on and enjoy.
Yeah, the cinematography I love. Again, it creates a sort of gothic tone that you can only pinpoint down to something made by Fulci, and I think he kind of gets close to something like this with Zombie Flesh Eaters, but there's just something about this. It has one of the famous things that they love in Italian horror films, and that is a dog attacking someone.
Yes.
Poor Dickie.
Poor Dickie. Oh yeah, good old Dickie.
Possessed, and I assume, and attack someone. Because again, logic isn't really here. But I particularly like the scene in which the dead bodies come back to life, and there's a shootout, and the practical effects in that scene. Towards the end of the film, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Because all of this is definitely done. By a low budget. I think actually it was $400,000. The budget,
which is low,
and the way he makes this look from that budget is just so impressive. The scene that I'm on about is in the mortuary, is it, where they all come back to life? Yeah. But no, it's great. And Catriona McCall's great. David Warbeck is great.
David Warbeck is maybe the hottest guy from the video Nasties.
Is he the pin-up? He's not the literal pin-up from this film who's pinned to the wall.
No, yeah. He's the hunk of this film. Yeah.
But speaking of the guy that is pinned up, there's something about the way that Lucio Fulci makes his zombies look that I find so creepy. Like the scariest zombies put to film. The way they actually look like decaying flesh.
Yeah. Do you find this film scary?
I think it's really creepy. Yeah.
But then I've always found horror to be quite camp.
Yeah, no, of course. I think there are campy elements here, but I think out of all the video nasties, this is one of the creepiest. It's just that weird otherworldly tone mixed with how he makes his zombies look that I just find really eerie. And atmospheric as well.
Yeah, I love his obsession with eyes.
Yes,
as well. That is one that always does get me. It does the eye gouging the eye, poking the eye, all of that stuff. He loves to feature that in his films.
Yeah.
But yeah, I highly recommend. If you're a horror film fan, you've already seen it. Shout out to Vipco. Do you remember? Did you ever have any Vipcos?
Yeah.
That's how I watched The Beyond originally, and they I think Arrow sort of. Well, I think it was Vipco, Anchor Bay, and Arrow that have tried to release.
Shameless have done it now.
Shameless as well, releasing a lot of these video nasties. But Vipco, I think, were the original ones to try really hard to get them released uncut, and that's how I watched The Beyond the first time. I didn't. They had quite plain DVD cases, didn't they? They were kind of interchangeable.
It kind of made it.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah,
it kind of felt a little. Like it's weird that my mum bought me The Beyond on DVD for Christmas, because it felt kind of very adult.
Yeah.
It felt taboo. Even these cases, like they were hiding, like really hiding something.
Yeah, and this Blood Feast. The Boogeyman and Revenge of the Boogeyman are all films that you could hear us discuss in full. If you ever fancy listening to us go from scene for scene, head a little further back of Horror Cult Trash Over and you'll find some there.
Yes.
This has an IMDb rating of 6.6 out of 10.
Low.
I know. Letterboxd rating of 3.5 out of 5. My rating is 5 out of 5.
Yes. And a love heart.
Yes.
I agree.
Did this deserve to be on the list? Why do we think it's on the list? I mean, in its own way, I think it's kind of artsy. I think there's an argument to be made for this being art house horror. In that Fulci is a master of his craft, and that really shows here. It's so well made. It is incredibly violent and gory. Do I think it deserves to be on the list? No. I think City of the Living Dead deserves more.
Yeah. It is a gruesome film, but I feel like it's almost...
It's like fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantasy. It's almost comic book. Like, it's very over the top in its gore. A lot of it... And obviously we're looking at it from today's standards. We're looking at about 40 years now. So... effects have grown a lot since then, but some of it looks somewhat hokey and such, which I think adds to the charm. There is child death in it though, which I think was a big no-no. Yeah. So I can see why it was on, but I think it's a difficult question because I can see why the BBFC put it on the list, but I wouldn't put any of these on a banned list because I don't necessarily believe in censorship that way.
And next up, we have the oldest film on the Video Nasties list. It's Blood Feast from 1963.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a movie being shown in this area that we would sincerely like to warn you about. The title, The Blood Feast. This is, without exception, the bloodiest, goriest, most sadistic motion picture ever produced. If you're at least bit squeamish, do not attempt to see this one. We have told you about many horror movies that you probably got a kick out of, but this one is different. If you are at all impressionable, don't see it. If you have an impressionable teenager, under no circumstances, let them see it. Absolutely no children will be admitted. There'll be nurses on duty, not as an advertising gimmick, but because they will be needed. We are sincere in warning you about this movie. Its title again is The Blood Feast, and it is honestly the most gruesome motion picture ever produced. See it if you must, but we wanted you to know what to expect.
AKA Egyptian Blood Feast, AKA Bloody Orgy, AKA Blood Ceremony, and Feast of Flesh.
And Bloody Feast.
Bloody Feast. I think that was just a typo.
Yeah. Written and directed by Herschell Gordon Lewis, a master of horror in his own right. Co-written by Alison Louise Down, a woman in horror film.
Yes.
And David F. Friedman, and starring William Kerwin, Mel Arnold, Connie Mason.
You may know her from Playboy.
Yes, and Lynn Bolton, who you do not know from Playboy.
No.
It's about an Egyptian caterer who kills various women in suburban Miami to use their body parts to revive a dormant Egyptian goddess while an inept police detective tries to track him down.
To resurrect the goddess Ishtar, Egyptian caterer Ramses steals the body parts of young women within the hotbed of Egyptology fanatics, Miami Beach.
This film was prosecuted, and it was created because Herschell Gordon Lewis and David F. Friedman were a bit bored of nudie films. That's all they were making before that point. And they needed to come up with a new kind of film that they knew the major studios wouldn't try to do. And thus, they created the splatter film. This is the first ever splatter film.
Yes. What was your favourite title, by the way?
Oh, my favourite title is Bloody Orgy.
Bloody
because
Orgy.
It makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't really.
And that's hilarious.
Yeah, and I'm being a bit boring this episode, but Blood Feast.
Blood Feast is
a
good.
Great title, Blood Feast.
Yeah, David F. Friedman came up with publicity stunts for the film, which included giving theatre goers vomit bags, reading you may need this when you see Blood Feast, and obtaining an injunction against the film in Sarasota, Florida, which would then create more interest. And Stephen King has been quoted as saying this is the worst film he's ever seen. Honestly, nice. Blood Feast is an absolute blast. So silly.
Love this film so much. It's a horror comedy at heart. It's so kitschy. It's so campy. It's just a fun film. It's barely over an hour long. I love the minimalist soundtrack. I love the performances because they are wooden. They are. I love the effects. They're quite crude.
They are.
But I feel it all adds to the charm. The characters are dumb but lovable. It's that midnight movie, Americana, drive-in theatre film that I love. I adore.
Yeah, it's high camp, it's high energy, so melodramatic, which is especially seen within the performances. The fact that it has Connie Mason from Playboy in there immediately
you read about her in
camp.
Playboy?
Immediately makes it camp. You know, the way they marketed this film, like, it's the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. And in 1963, probably was. Like, can you imagine people's reactions to this?
Yeah, they'd be horrified. They'd be fainting. You haven't, and it looks really hokey now. It's very fake. But in 1963, you didn't see this sort of stuff.
No.
People got shot in films and they just collapsed and that was it. People died in films and there was nothing. There was no sort of special effects. No. There was nothing over the top. There may have been a little bit of blood, but not... I mean, this is a blood feast. This is a hell of a lot of blood.
It is. Dorothy is the best character in the film. The character who's just more than willing to let a creepy old man do the catering for a daughter's party as long as he made it the talk of the town. Like, she was a Real Housewife in the making. She's the original Real Housewife.
Real Housewife of Miami Beach.
All she cared about was her reputation and this iconic Egyptian party that she wanted.
Yeah.
And even when it's all revealed, she's just like, oh dear, the guests will have to eat hamburgers for dinner tonight. I truly think she is one of the greatest characters in the history of cinema. I really like the cinematography, and it's you know, it's tacky. It's really tacky the way it's filmed, but that works with it. There are moments in the score where it sounds kind of like the Carnival of Souls score, but and then there are moments where it just doesn't happen. And Herschell Gordon Lewis, I don't know. There's so much in this film where I ask what's intentional and what isn't, with its campiness and with its trashiness. But either way, regardless, it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's listed as a comedy on IMDb. But I don't know. Obviously, IMDb wasn't around in 1963. So I don't know if it's just developed into a comedy over the years.
I mean, it's a film that kind of makes you question what Herschell Gordon Lewis thinks of the human race, because all of the women are there to be murdered and all of the men are fucking idiots.
Absolute morons. Yeah, absolute morons. I love that the love interest is actually only 10 years older than Connie Mason, but looks at least 20 years older. It's that film. If I ever had a Halloween party, like a big Halloween party, this is the film I'd have on in the background.
Yeah, of course.
You don't need to pay too much attention, because the colours are so lurid, and every so often it'll catch your eye if it's a death scene, but there's not really a hell of a lot to it.
No.
Which I love. Cinema can be like that. It's pure entertainment.
Yeah. It has an IMDb rating of 5 out of 10.
Harsh, but I understand it's not for everyone.
Letterboxd rating of 2.7 out of 5. My rating is 3.5 out of 5 with a love heart.
Oh yeah, mine's 3 and a love heart. Big love heart, because it's not groundbreaking. Well, I mean, technically it is groundbreaking.
Oh, it is groundbreaking. Yeah,
but it's not the kind of film that stays with you. It's the kind of film you sit and enjoy, and you're like, that was a good 67 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
And that's the thing. It's so short as well, and it's like, I mean, that deserves a star in itself.
Do you think it deserved to be on the list?
No. And why do we think it's on the list? Because women in sexy outfits are killed. That's literally it.
I think it's just because it's called Blood Feast.
And because of the title. Like,
I don't think the
watch
BBFC
this.
paid a hell of attention. It was, by the time the Video Nasty thing was happening, it was 20 years old.
Yeah.
There was way worse. I mean, you look at something like Scarface, which never even got close to the Video Nasties. That is incredibly violent.
Yeah.
And this is, yes, violent, but 20 years had passed. It would have looked really hokey in 83. It would have been a comedy in 83.
It's kind of like classism in a way. They looked down on the films that were on a lower budget, made by little studios, made by independent filmmakers, with titles like Bloody Moon, Blood Feast, and things like that. And it's easy to ban those, whilst, like we said last week, giving them more attention in the process. Whereas stuff like you said, Scarface. I mean, a lot of Scorsese's films, just being released willy-nilly on a big budget through big studios, and that's fine.
Incredibly violent. I suppose he does use tools like kitchen knife and such, and like limbs are cut off, and they did hate that.
Yeah.
Any kills that were with something that was readily available in the household, because they thought the common man was a moron.
They had a weird thing for nunchucks as well.
Yeah. Well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in the UK because they weren't allowed to reference ninjas.
Wow.
And yeah, nunchucks. They really hated nunchucks. But I mean, in general, the UK government and the BBFC hated nunchucks and ninjas and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Let's find out what they hated. What were you going to say, sorry?
Well, yeah, no, just to cap off, Blood Feast, highly recommend.
Oh, yeah.
If you enjoy horror.
Yeah. I highly recommend everything on this episode apart from Beast in Heat. Chris recommends everything on this episode apart from Beast in Heat and the Boogeyman films. So let's talk about...
Spoiler alert.
Let's we're now halfway through. Let's get to our next one. It's Bloody Moon from 1981.
Young girls in search of love and adventure become the prey of a bloodthirsty killer. A dream vacation becomes a nightmare. Bloody Moon, a film you won't soon forget. Bloody Moon.
AKA, I'm not going to try and do the pronunciation. I've embarrassed myself enough. aka Terror and Death at the University, The Bloody Moon Murders, The Saw of Death, Sex Murders at Girls' School, Profonde Tenebrae, which means deep darkness, but I thought that like, okay.
Wow.
Someone wants to be an Argento film. And Colegiales Violadas, which means raped schoolgirls.
This doesn't make any sense.
No,
There's an attempted
ew.
bit of sexual assault at the start of the film, but that's it as far as we watched it today. That's all I can remember.
I can't think of the mindset that would think, well, I've watched the film, but let's call it that. I'm not going to say it again. Let's call it that because that's going to help sell the film.
Yeah.
Like, no, ew.
Like, I'm not one to kink shame people, but if you're buying videos purposely because of the word rape to get off, then you should probably seek some sort of help. But yes, it's directed by Jess Franco, written by Eric Tomek, and starring Olivia Pascal, Christoph Moosbrugger, Alexander Wachter, Nadia Gergenov, and the premise is as simple as this: girls are killed at a language school in Spain.
Yes, so the country of origin is West Germany and Spain.
Yes.
My favourite title was Terror and Death at the University.
My favourite title is The Saw of Death.
That's a good one. That's quite clear about the film as well.
Yeah.
Bloody Moon. There's not really much moon,
No.
is there? I mean, it's a great title, but not really in keeping with the premise. Which is, language school student Angela suspects there is a murderer on campus. Could it be the disfigured, convicted murderer recently released from a mental institution? Could it be the handsome gardener who slept with half the student body? Or could it be one of the many interchangeable blonde white women you'll struggle to differentiate between? Who knows, but one thing's for certain, no one's going to be wearing a bra.
That's true. And because of that, this was prosecuted.
Yeah, which I'm all for, women's choice to wear a bra or not wear a bra.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was maybe the filmmaker's choice that no woman in this film is allowed to wear a bra. At any time.
Yeah. Jess Franco was informed that Pink Floyd were going to do a soundtrack for this film.
He was.
Jess Franco was lied to.
Jess Franco was technically lied to because I believe a Pink Floyd covers band gave it a good shot.
Well, we can't have Pink Floyd.
We could give it a go.
Hey, it also has disco music, though.
It does.
We get some amazing dancing to Holiday Feeling by Jared Hines, who does the whole soundtrack, featuring Angelica Simon, who is doing her absolute best Diana Ross impression.
Yes. My favourite song, though, has to be Rock You Baby.
It's called Rock You Baby, Shake You Baby.
Oh, excuse me. Rock You Baby, Shake You Baby, which is quite the choice of a song to dance to. Because it kind of sounds like a drunk guy doing karaoke, but he only knows one line of the song. I'm going to give it a go. Rock you, baby. Shake you, baby. Rock you, baby. Shake you, baby.
That is the entire song. I hope we don't get sued by Jared Hines.
No, yeah.
Dodgy soundtrack choices aside, what a film.
It's a hell of a ride, actually. It's a really fun slasher film. It's pretty much Jess Franco doing a slasher film.
It is.
So it has all the usual slasher tropes. It's got boobs, kills, red herrings, jump scares, but all with a weird vibe to it. It's off. Something is off
it's
about
campus
it.
Tits, that's what's off.
It is. It really is.
The camp value is through the roof. Countess Maria Gonzalez is the best character in the film. She gets about 5 minutes of screen time. And she has not given up her money for anyone, even when she's dead. Spoiler alert, she is set on fire. And she's the second best cunty countess in a Jess Franco film.
Yes.
With the first being the Blood and Semen countess from Vampire Killer
Blood and
Barbies.
Semen.
But what a character. And all the characters in this film, all dumb as shit. And the performances are fucking wild.
Yeah, so Antonio is the hunk of the film.
Yeah.
Because there's a few men that are quite confusing, like
Yeah.
who they are and what their involvement in everything is.
Mm-hmm.
But the standout is Antonio. He's the gardener. He's making his way through all the ladies, and you can tell this is written by a man because all the girls love telling each other about how great of a lover he is. Like, oh, we're women, and he's a man, and he's irresistible.
I mean, someone tells him about himself. When she says, one great Latin lover thinks he can just sit there looking like he's God's gift to women.
That's because she was turned down.
Yes.
So she was bitter about it. One of my favourite pieces of dialogue in the film is, and it's the way it's definitely slasher territory, but with a weird vibe. Because she's doing one of these ladies, they're in a college, these are intelligent women.
Uh-huh.
And she's doing a crossword. And she's, it's a capital offence ending in R. One of her friends says, murder. It's like, oh! I was like, yeah, I thought this was a college.
Yeah.
Like, surely that's an obvious one.
Another great bit.
Why is she struggling with a six-letter word ending in R, a capital offence?
The first woman who gets killed with scissors... a man says to her, I'd like to make love to you. And she says, so would I.
Yeah.
Go on, girl.
I love your confidence.
All the women in this talk like they are romantic novelists. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I would love to feel your hot hand stroking my breast. Yes. And like things like this. It's like, these are all college girls. Why are they talking like this? What is their degree in? Is it?
Well, it's a language school. It's a language school.
Of course, yeah. So it's a language school, but they all talk like they're romantic novelists.
Yeah, like it's Danielle Steele. There's a bit of incest in there as well, for good measure, isn't there?
There is, yes. Miguel is only evil because his face has a bit of wrinkly masking tape on there, and he fucks his sister.
He's also the murderer at the beginning of the film.
Yes.
Yeah, he also did murder someone.
Yeah, but also that masking tape and that incest.
The effects... the effects in general aren't terrible.
Oh, I love the effects in this film.
Yeah, his face is a choice.
Yeah, it is a choice.
It doesn't quite look the best.
Yeah, they cut down on the budget for that, but they used it great elsewhere. And apart from the poor girl who thinks she's getting some kinky sex and turns into a mannequin and gets decapitated with a saw, that doesn't look great. But everything else looks so good. And as much as there's so many inventive kills here, there's also a lot of gaslighting as well. The other horror in this film. Like, the main girl is gaslighted so many fucking times.
She's our final girl, because this is a slasher film, and she makes some choices.
She does.
She gets gaslit, but she also makes some really bad choices too.
Yeah.
It goes completely wild. Obviously, no spoilers here, but it goes completely wild at the end in a great way. Really balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Here and everywhere, but in a wonderful way. And the kills are very inventive.
Well, that reminds me, let's backtrack a little. One of your best kills from these films today, I think for me, Blood Feast, it's the tongue removal.
Is that something you should introduce?
Last week we were saying with each film, like,
that is true.
What your favourite was. The Beyond the Dog to the throat. The Beast in Heat, the moment the film died, when the finish sign came up.
The Beast in Heat, I don't have one. The Beyond, I think, face melting.
Yeah.
Which kind of, now, thinking back, a bit like a Lush bath bomb.
It is, yes.
Someone needs to do a bath bomb of that scene specifically.
Yeah.
That would be great. This film...
It's the knife through the tit for me.
Yes, or the saw.
Yeah.
The saw...
The mannequin.
Yeah, I think the lead up to the saw as well. I think that's a great one. And the fact that she is just sort of like going along with it.
She is.
Again,
oh yeah, tie me up.
This is not a feminist masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. She's so bitter about being turned down that she'll get with any man, even one that's wearing a mask, who she has no idea who he is. She's wearing a see-through top, obviously no bra underneath, and he's like ties her up in the middle of nowhere to this big block. There's a huge saw close by, and he uses it on her and cuts off her head. But a kid tries to intervene as well, and it's a lengthy scene, and it's so ridiculous, but the payoff is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk a little more about that in a few seconds.
Yes, of course.
IMDb rating is 5.2 out of 10, harsh. Letterboxd rating is 3 out of 5. My rating is 4 out of 5 with a love heart.
Mine's 3.5 out of 5 with a love heart.
Did this deserve to be on the list? Why do I think it's on the list?
Absolutely.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
The knife through the tit.
Yes.
The practical effect is so fucking good, even if the idea of an entire knife going all the way through this woman's body is ridiculous.
This is because she is gorgeous, beautifully breasted, a voluptuous woman. And I'm thinking to myself, because it's not like a special knife or anything, I'm not even sure it would go all the way through me.
No.
I don't see how it goes all the way through the back and then through the nipple on this chesty woman. But it does.
Yeah.
And I could imagine the BBFC fucking hated it.
Yes, and also the scene you mentioned,
of course.
The child is run over.
Oh yeah, that's true. Child death.
Sadly, yes, there is attempted a sexual assault at the start of the film, and even more sadly, a real snake is decapitated with scissors, which is something that is going to become a recurring theme, particularly in our upcoming Cannibals episode.
Yeah.
I assume it's a real snake. It looked very real.
It appeared to be. But then Friday the 13th as well.
It
that
does
was a
that
real
as well,
snake.
and that is on Section 3.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the I suppose the BBFC, I feel like they would have cared about that.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely, yeah. There's no way. That's
I suppose
animal death, child death, sex and violence together. These are the things. Nunchucks. These are the things that they really cared about. That got these films on the lists. And it was completely unnecessary. Also,
it's always
if you're going to
use
use a fake mannequin to decapitate a woman, you could also use a fake snake. It will forgive. It probably would have looked more real than the mannequin.
Yeah.
But aside from that, though, I love it. It's a banger, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Pure slasher film goodness. Yeah, highly recommend.
Speaking of pure slasher film goodness, it's the Boogeyman from 1980.
When you were growing up, the Boogeyman was just a fantasy.
It had its own power.
The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman. He's here. Now. By the time they believe in him, it will be too late. The Boogeyman. Rated R.
AKA Spectre. Not that one.
Yeah, for some reason.
AKA Mirror. Who lives in that mirror?
That is my favourite title.
Who lives in a mirror like this? The Devil's Spell. Satan, the reflection of evil. And many, many different spellings and variants of Boogeyman. The Boogeyman. The Boogie Space Man. The Boogeyman, all is one word. All of that goodness.
Yeah, also known as the Black Mirror and Murderous Force.
Oh.
Written and directed by Ulli Lommel.
We're agreeing that Mirror, who lives in that mirror, is the best.
That's the greatest title of all time. Starring Susanna Love, Ron James, John Carradine, and Nicholas Love.
Written by Susanna Love as well. Women in Horror.
Oh.
Yeah, she was married to Ulli Lommel.
Oh, that she was. I know she did the second one.
Yeah, she helped write it. God bless her heart.
Through the reflection in the mirror.
We support women in horror films. We support women writers, women behind the camera, and it's okay to write a bad film.
It's so strange. I don't understand your hatred for this film. It's got all the ingredients in there for a Chris Barker classic. I really don't understand the hate. What did you give it? No, let's jump ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's spoiler. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Trying to call me out early.
Through the reflection in the mirror, a girl witnesses her mother's boyfriend's murder. Dare I ask what you think it's actually about?
Oh, after the spirit of a murder victim is trapped in a mirror and released to seek revenge, we must ask ourselves, do mirrors hold a bit of all who gaze upon them, or are they just a plot device to make a mundane slasher appear more highbrow?
And it wasn't prosecuted. It was originally passed uncut for cinema. Vipco released it on VHS in the UK in November 1981. And in 1983, it was listed as a video nasty and removed from shelves. It never had the chance to build the reputation the true notorious video nasties gained, because it was dropped from the list in 1985, re-released uncut in the year 2000. As you know, if you listen to our previous episode, this is one of the very few films that divides me and Chris.
Yes.
I think I've got nostalgia to it because, as I mentioned on that episode, I did used to have it on a 4-film DVD with the second film and with Halloween 4 and 5.
Fucking hell, they released any old shit, wouldn't they?
And that's exactly what you said.
Oh, goodness. Well, some things don't change.
Some things don't change. I don't know. I think this film is artsy. I feel like there is actually an effort in here to make something more than the standard slasher film. It's odd. It's camp. It's a little creepy at times. Like the image of the guy with the tights on his head in the mirror. I think that's really creepy. The kills are inventive. The soundtrack is phenomenal. And I really like the cinematography as well. I mean, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece. I'm not saying it's perfect. But it's a really... I don't know. I've just always found it a really enjoyable slasher film.
We're allowed to disagree. It's all good.
It inspired one of Church's albums as well.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So go on then.
Well, that's good then.
Let's
it
hear
inspired
it.
Something much better.
Let's hear it for the boy. Let's hear it for the Boogeyman.
Well, for me, it's another Halloween rip-off.
It is a Halloween rip-off.
We've had... I think we'll get a few of those, to be fair. We've had one already. I just found a lot of it quite dull. Loved the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Absolutely adored the soundtrack. There's some weirdness. I just wasn't invested in it, and I just felt like the payoffs weren't worth the boredom, the tedium. Tedium? That's a word. Yeah. I have put in my notes that potentially it's not a film that I would disagree with watching again sometime in the future. Yeah. I'm hopefully going to have a lot of time on this planet. And if it's ever, because you enjoy it so much, if they ever do a really great release of it on Blu-ray, I wouldn't stop you from buying it, and we can maybe sit down and watch it again, and potentially I'd look at things differently. But I found it really dull.
Yeah?
There's a few standout scenes. You know, it did that thing that I cannot forgive. It bored me.
I mean, for me, it's just the weirdness of the whole plot of it all. Like, it is a Halloween ripoff.
Yeah.
But also, what is that for Entity? I feel like there might be a bit of Entity. Was that before this? Oh no, that was after, wasn't it?
Would have been after, really.
Yeah, because you got the
Which
whole...
one's the Entity?
The one with... What's her face?
Barbara Hershey.
Barbara Hershey, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because like there's a whole thing of the ghost, the scene where it's ripping her clothes off and stuff. And let's be honest, that's exactly why we're talking about this today.
Oh, yeah.
But also scenes like that, I mean, the biggest standout for me, and obviously my best kill, is the screwdriver through the head. I always get this mixed up with Happy Birthday to Me and the skewer.
Yeah.
But the screwdriver through the head and forcing them to look like they're kissing, that's camp. And
it is.
It's a really great kill.
My best kill, is obviously
Boogeyman. The child that is crushed by a windowsill.
That is the highlight of the film. It's the one thing I remember, like I really remember, is that because it made me cackle. We made us cackle.
The child that really had not much relation to the film, he just pops his head through like Boogeyman.
Let's make something very clear. The film is basically about a woman who brings her trauma to complete strangers, and the strangers are the ones that are punished.
Yes.
Like, there is absolutely no reason. These people that are murdered have nothing to do with the original murder, the catalyst for the whole thing.
But that's pretty much the sequel as well. I mean, I haven't seen the third film, but maybe that's also about this.
She's like Paddington.
She's like
the angel of death.
It does for...
She's Sidney Prescott.
It does for trauma dumping what Jaws did for water. Yeah, that is a very amusing way of doing things. But I mean, the whole ending, I love the cinematography in the end with the green lighting and the mirror on the face, like she's doing Poker Face by Lady Gaga. Yeah, it's just camp.
It'd be an easy Halloween costume.
It would be. Just stick a bit of glass to your eyes. And we see a priest getting melted as well. I mean, what more could you ask?
Is he melted or is just blood from his
It
head?
looks like he's melted, the way the blood goes down his head.
Yeah.
The iconic image from the film. But yes, it is, admittedly, in a long line of Halloween rip-offs, but with a bit of supernatural to it. IMDb rating, 4.7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Letterboxd rating, 2.7 out of 5. My rating is a 4 out of 5.
I gave it 2 out of 5.
Is that...
I did. I gave it 2 out of 5.
Is that your latest rating of it?
Yeah, I like the soundtrack, and I just...
No, that's fair. You can have your own opinion.
Absolutely. We're allowed to disagree on things. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
Maybe we should do an episode dedicated to films that we disagree on.
Oh my lord.
It's all relative, isn't it, at the end of the day? But there aren't many films that we really disagree on.
No. Did this deserve to be on the list, and why do we think it's on the list? I mean, very simply, it's on the list because there is a scene where a woman is killed with her breasts out, a kid is killed.
Yeah.
It has all the things that Tories hated. Do I think it deserves to be on the list, though? No.
No.
And I think the fact that it was pulled from the list so quickly is, backs that up.
Yeah, there are things that were a big no-no that the BBFC really didn't like. But ultimately, it's kind of tame compared to some of the others. Compared to what we've discussed so far, just in this episode, and what is to come. It's really quite tame, and I think they realise they're like, there's no point prosecuting this. It's such a waste when there's big ones that could do with prosecuting. Yeah.
And finally, for the final film of this episode, the film that was guilty by association.
Absolutely.
It's Boogeyman II from 1983.
Under the Hollywood sky, a filmmaker's dream becomes a nightmare. Once released, no one can halt the relentless revenge of the Boogeyman.
AKA The Revenge of the Boogeyman, AKA The Devil's Spell 2, and then all of the other different variants of Boogeyman, but with 2 afterwards.
And The Devil's Spell 2, AKA Return of the Killer.
Oh.
AKA The Boogeyman Scissors at the Throat Part 2, The Killer Returns.
Oh, what? How did I miss that one?
A really problematic title that I don't believe is intended to be the way it sounds. I quote, this is an actual title of this film, Who's Afraid of the Black People Part 2.
Oh.
I think they mean The Killer.
Yeah.
That is not a title
you
want to use.
I think, is that translated?
That is, yes.
I think, I'm assuming that's not,
Yeah, very much Kelly Osbourne. That's not.
Yeah.
But the best title for me is The Boogeyman Scissors at the Throat Part 2, The Killer Returns.
Yeah, I mean, I've changed mine. That's great. Love that one.
Written and directed by Bruce Pern and Ulli Lommel. Co-directed by Paul Wilson. Co-written by Susanna Love. starring Susanna Love, Shana Hall, Sholto Von Douglas, and Ulli Lommel himself. Premise...
Also starring Rock Mackenzie, who was one of the elders on Elders React. On the React channel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Premise, Lacey travels to Hollywood to the home of a film director where she brings along the last surviving haunted mirror shard from the end of the first movie as proof to her horrifying experiences. Girly. Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't prosecuted and literally exists on this list because it's a sequel to Boogeyman.
Yeah.
What's it about?
The Boogeyman returns to hold a mirror to Hollywood, the home of unnecessary horror sequels, padded out with clips from the first film, dull characters and bad dialogue. Oh wait, that's this film.
So this exists because Paramount Pictures wanted to produce a bigger budget sequel to The Boogeyman because it was a hit.
Bigger budget?
Yeah. Ulli Lommel wasn't having it. He didn't want to work for a big studio and decided to make the film, which he had later pulled from circulation as an independent production. He didn't want to make a sequel at all. He was young and rebellious and thought sequels were a stupid corporate exploitation idea. So when he finally did it, he played himself, a director who didn't want to make a film. So we're treated to Miss Arizona in this film and various other pretentious Hollywood party guests. Talking Hollywood stuff, having a fun time by the pool. They're a bit nosy though, aren't they, with Lacey?
They are.
And about her experiences from the first film, which, as Chris said, we are given in flashback form, but only the best parts. Now this backs up my argument, which I said in our previous episode about this. If I was to rewatch The Boogeyman, I would just watch Boogeyman 2. Because you get all of the best bits, and you get a little camp trash-to-piece side plot as well about Lacey in Hollywood, trauma dumping again on all these famous people who are just there having a bit of fun from her trauma, and then they get killed off in inventive ways. The Boogeyman himself is pissed off, though, and just starts picking them off one by one because he doesn't like people talking shit about him.
Yeah, it goes for the meta thing, which is interesting to a certain degree, but doesn't do it very well. I found it boring. I found the first film boring. It has the greatest hits compilation of the first film. I don't care because the other bits in between are so tedious. This Hollywood thing is so tedious. The acting's really bad.
It is bad.
The film, one thing that really stood out, the film is really poorly lit.
It is.
Looks horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
This needs a good Blu-ray release. Because you can't see half of what goes on in what's available online.
The random objects coming to life, it feels farcical more than anything else. It feels like a parody.
Yeah.
It feels very silly. There's one where, this guy's... The guy and the girl, they're in the car and they're chatting away. They want to get it on or whatnot. And he sticks his head out the sunroof and he gets dragged up. And she's like, I can't remember his name. I'm going to say Trevor. Oh, Trevor, where have you gone? It's like, he's just been dragged out. Right next to you.
I mean, she gets a fantastic death. She's spanked by a pair of ladders, which forces her to deep throat an exhaust pipe.
Yeah, which is given Final Destination, actually. It's the original Boogeyman's not like that.
It is.
It is at times.
It is. It's not as comedic.
Not, but it's not as Final Destination as this.
I mean, I think it is. It's objects being used on their own to kill people by this ghost.
I don't know why I'm struggling to remember the Boogeyman. We watched it.
I mean, yeah. For me, the best death in this film is the death by the toothbrush and shaving can.
What does that even... the electric toothbrush, absolutely. If I was brushing my teeth and I fell over and the electric toothbrush, went into the back of my throat, I'd be dead. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. The shaving foam, I don't know.
What about death by barbecue tongs and a corkscrew?
Yes.
What's your favourite?
I think pure ridiculousness, the electric toothbrush.
Yeah. The version we've seen is heavily censored. So, yeah, I think the only version that's available is still heavily censored to this day, which is ridiculous. Give it a good Blu-ray release, because I really think with better lighting and better sound and uncut kills, this could be a really fun time. I agree that it's a bad film. Obviously, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But I think there's a certain amount of camp here. Like when the party guests are introduced in a really weird manner. It's like, oh, don't mind me. Here's my young boyfriend. It's amazing what good sleep and eating well can do to you. It's like...
No, she goes. I'm remembering that one. She goes, oh, don't worry. He looks younger than he is. That's what healthy living and good sleep does to you. Like they were worried about the age gap, as if it's not Hollywood. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm a much older woman, so you're probably shocked and horrified. But if the genders were reversed, you wouldn't have an issue.
I think Ulli Lommel's trying to say something about Hollywood here. Trying to. He's picked a weird film to do it in, though. I mean, it's... Yeah.
I feel like, and what we've seen of Ulli Lommel's films, it hasn't been great, ladies.
What else has he done?
Olivia. We knew it as Prosy. Prosy. Boogeyman 2 isn't even his lowest rated film. And I distinctly remember, it's called Daniel the Wizard. And I distinctly remember everybody hated it. It's got a 1.9. It was the lowest rated film on IMDb for a hell of a long time. Wow. I remember.
I remember it being Halloween Free Season of the Witch. So was it before that, or?
This was from 2004.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it would have taken over Season of the Witch, I believe. So The Curse of the Zodiac, all of these really awful looking cheap horror films that you probably find for £1. Like America Land of the Freaks. Lots of ones that are based on real life killings, real life, murders and real life serial killers. Night Stalker, Zodiac Killer, Black Dahlia.
So Boogeyman probably is his best film. At a push.
No, well, we watched Tenderness of the Wolves, didn't we? And we were maybe a little disappointed, but I remember we both gave that 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But he worked with Fassbinder, one of my favourite filmmakers. Mm-hmm. But clearly, I think he was an actor foremost before he went into directing. But, clearly none of that talent rubbed off on him. He's dead, isn't he?
Well,
he's not gonna hate me, is he?
He's gonna come back as the boogeyman and use random objects to kill you.
And he's so scared that I'm gonna badmouth someone. He's gonna be like, oh.
I mean, oh shit! I wonder if the director of I Spit on Your Grave is gonna listen to us talking about that again.
Maybe.
What a lovely guy, absolute sweetheart. By the way, he was so kind to us, sharing our episode despite his bad mouth in the remake that you produced.
Yeah.
IMDb rating 2.2 out of 10. Letterboxd rating 2.3 out of 5. My rating is a 1 out of 5 with a love heart.
Mine's 1 out of 5, no love heart.
Did this deserve to be on the list? Why do you think it's on the list? It's there because it's a sequel. It does not deserve to be on this list at all.
Yeah, like Gary said, guilty by association. It's not interesting enough to be offensive. No. Like, you have to have a little something to just offend me. There's got to be something there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't... Yeah, I don't... It's guilty by association. And the clips from the first film are the reason why. It probably... Maybe the uncut version. Was that even available then, though? No. Yeah. So,
that concludes episode 2 of our Video Nasty season. The second half of B. We've still got some more B to go on the next episode. But in the meantime, that could have been a nasty. What modern film this week do we think would have made it onto the list?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So, in a tribute to The Beast in Heat, as it's a film with torture at its core that I found tedious and unenjoyable, I've chosen Hostel.
Yes, easily. That and its sequel were definitely be on the list.
Pure video nasty fodder.
Yeah.
I hate Hostel. I really dislike that film.
Yeah.
I think I gave it 2 out of 5 on first watch. But the more I think... It's one of those films, the more I think about it, the more I think, actually, I really had a terrible time with that film.
It's really shit.
But, you know, it's got all of those aspects that would have, you know, made the BBFC and Mary Whitehouse cry.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, in tribute to half of this episode being discussing slasher films, the Terrifier trilogy.
Yes.
Because that would pretty much be just given films to the Video Nasties list. Nudity, sex and violence combined, child death, just everything. Absolutely everything that would have made a Video Nasty. They are the probably the most obvious modern example of what a Video Nasty would have been back then.
Absolutely.
But yes, that's our 2 cents. And you can find us on all social media by searching the name of the podcast. And if you could give us a rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this, we'd be so grateful. As we would also be grateful if you checked out Gasp Horror Film Festival, which we run, and it's getting close. It's taking place on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of June at Courtplex in Manchester. Next week, we're back with another 6 Video Nasties. We'll be discussing The Burning, Butcher Bacon Nightmare Maker, Contamination, Dead and Buried, Delirium, and sadly The Devil Hunter. We are now, you may think, hey, hang on, where's the rest of C? Well, let me tell you now. We have, the 2 weeks after, we have a separate episode dedicated entirely to cannibal films. Because there's a lot of them.
Yes, a hell of a lot. Yeah.
It'll be titled C is for Cannibal.
Yeah, we'll see
Yes.
how that goes, because that's a heavy one.
Yeah. We'll be back at the same time, the same place with more nasties in 2 weeks' time.
Bye.